So we just received a bunch of new information for Diablo 4, including the updated patch notes for Season 11, and also including the most recent developer livestream where they went over all of their learnings from the PTR and went over everything we're going to be seeing with Season 11. But with the release of the patch notes and the blog going over Season 11, we got one massive change that is pointing towards us getting something else with Season 11 that we have not been told of yet. Now, this big change being that Season 11 is going to go live on December 11th at 8:30 p.m. PST. Now, originally, Season 10 was going to be ending on December 9th, so that would mean that Season 11 was originally supposed to release on the 9th instead of the 11th. Now, if you're not keeping up with anything else in gaming happening on the 11th, this may not mean much to you, but on December 11th, right before Season 11 actually goes live, there is the 2025 Game Awards, which is not only just an award show, but it also has some of the biggest reveals in gaming for that year. And we've known for a while now, because of the developers constantly teasing us, that something for Diablo 4 is going to be revealed at the Game Awards, basically guaranteeing it being Expansion 2. But the big question is, why is this affecting the launch of Season 11? Because the reveal of the second expansion shouldn't really affect the Season 11 launch at all, unless there is something else we're getting with Season 11 that they have kept completely secret and will be revealed at the Game Awards with the second expansion and will go live the half an hour or hour after the Game Awards when Season 11 actually launches. That is seeming to be what is happening. There will be something else we're getting with Season 11 that we have not been told about and hasn't even been hinted at any point. Now, I think one of the biggest pieces of information that there is going to be something new shadow dropped with Season 11 after the Game Awards is at this time and on this day of the week makes zero sense for not only a Blizzard launch of anything, but also a Diablo 4 launch, because this is not only going to be on a Thursday, which Blizzard really doesn't launch things on Thursday, but it's also at 8:30 p.m. PST time, which is generally a horrible time no matter where you are around the world. I live in the Eastern time zone, so it's close to midnight. Even in California, where Blizzard is located, this is still at nighttime for them. So that also means that the developers on Diablo 4, engineers, and probably most of the team will be staying overnight, more than likely, to be there on this season launch to make sure if anything goes bad, they can be there to try to fix it. Not only that, but this is pushing Season 11 closer to the next update for Path of Exile 2, which is also adding a new class, which makes zero sense. Diablo 4 has actually delayed previous seasons to be further away from launches of seasons or leagues of other popular ARPGs. So none of it makes sense why they would push back the season 2 days and push it back to later into the night, unless there was something worthwhile that they are shadow dropping with the season for them to reveal that at the Game Awards and then launch it probably a couple hours later. And we did also kind of get something like this with the first expansion. We got pets added into the game that was free and launched pretty much right after the reveal of the first expansion. But the launch of pets didn't affect the launch of any seasons. It wasn't really hinted at any point, and it wasn't the biggest update into the game. It was something really nice and really nice quality of life, but it wasn't something that changed really anything about the game or changed the launch of the season. So this pretty much has to be something significantly bigger than shadow dropping pets. And the real question is, what is that going to be? Now, I wanted to go over the first and kind of craziest possibility, and that's that they are shadow dropping the paladin into Season 11, which would be absolutely crazy. Now, there's not really much information behind this, just that that would be an absolutely crazy thing to do. The paladin is absolutely the most hype class they could possibly add into a Diablo game. There's no other class that's been in a previous Diablo game. There's no other class concept that would come even close to how much hype the paladin would get. But there is actually one small piece of information, and that's if you go and look at some of the new cosmetics coming with the battle pass of Season 11, there is something that looks exactly like a flail. It's essentially a flail. We don't actually have flails, even though we've had some weapons that are kind of similar-ish to a flail. It's just not a flail specifically in game. It's more just a cosmetic thing. But this looks like a legitimate legitimate flail, and a paladin would obviously fit really well into using a flail. So that's really the only piece of information we have on them shadow dropping a paladin. I don't think this is actually going to happen. There is a small chance though, just because shadow dropping the paladin into season 11 would almost guarantee that season 11 would be the most popular Diablo season that it's ever had. There's no doubt in my mind that that would happen, but another reason I don't think that's going to happen is because season 11 is a pretty big rework season. We're getting a pretty big monster rework in terms of elites and just difficulty of the game in general. We're getting capstones added back in. We're getting toughness completely being changed with caps being removed from pretty much all of our defensives. We're getting health potions reworked. We're getting so much of kind of the base combat and stats of the game being reworked. It wouldn't make a ton of sense to then add a new class directly into that with no community testing or feedback. So I give it a very low chance that happens, but there's always that small chance that they just want to do something crazy. Now, the actual craziest thing that could possibly happen would just be them like shadow dropping the expansion, which wouldn't make any sense. The only way this would make sense is if they were giving this expansion for free, which I don't think is going to happen. And they're definitely not going to shadow drop a paid expansion, 0 advertisement before you can actually play it. They would definitely want like that 3 to 6 month lead up to advertise the paid expansion. So I don't think that is happening either. Again, there's just that very low chance that that happens just because they want to do something absolutely crazy. But I also see another possibility that maybe they're going to be adding like a whole new zone with season 11. That's going to be the thing that shadow dropped. That is kind of the bridge going into the new expansion. This is definitely something that is a possibility. I don't think it's a super high one either because the new zones themselves, while can be really cool, aren't as important as what's in the zones. So if they dropped a new zone, it would have to have some amount of like side quests, maybe some amount of the main story quests from the new expansion, or some prelude into the expansion that would probably need some new activities specific to that zone. So that would be quite a lot to shadow drop. And outside of that, there's just a plethora of other things that could possibly be shadow dropping. We really just have no idea. I think it's pretty much guaranteed that they are doing something specifically with this. There's legitimately 0 other reason for them to push back the season to a day that they never launched seasons on, push it back to late at night for pretty much everybody, so a horrible time to release it, and not have a specific reason for this. Because again, they're also going to have to keep like their whole development team at the studio overnight, which is probably a bunch of like overtime pay and paying all the developers more. They are absolutely doing something and shadow dropping something with the season we don't know about yet. We just don't really have any clue of what it's going to be. That definitely makes the season a lot more exciting, just the random possibility of something being in it. And this does kind of make me want to make a video talking more about how knowing everything about a new season of Diablo actually makes the seasons less exciting, because just this possibility of them shadow dropping something into season 11, I think has made this season more exciting. And I'm not just saying that, I've seen that with a bunch of other people talking about it. So that's definitely something for another video, but leave it in the comments what you think is actually going to be shadow dropped with the release of season 11 after the Game Awards. Something is going to be happening. We did also see Jez Corden, who is somewhat of an industry insider who actually has a lot of connections at those studios, say that Diablo 4 is going to be at the Game Awards, which we pretty much already know, but that it's a lot more than just a Diablo 4 expansion. So it seems like there's also something crazy coming. But that's all I want to go over, so thanks for watching.